Now, I know we're a little bit late to the Fresh Foam X More New Balance party, but I've just managed to get my hands on the latest version of their highly cushioned road shoe, the V4s. Now, recently on the channel, we actually tested out the trail version, the More Trail from New Balance, and I definitely found it extremely comfortable, very bouncy, but maybe a little bit too soft and a bit unstable for the trails that I run down here in Cornwall. But when we tested it, I did say it ran on the compacted trails and the tarmac really well. So in theory, these should perform very well out on the roads of Cornwall. But I guess there's only one way to find out. Let's get the New Balance Fresh Foam X More V4s laced up and take them out for their first run. Welcome back, folks, and how are you all doing out there in YouTube world? Well, I hope you're all fit and well and all excited about your next training run or taking on a race at the weekend. I'm Lloyd Purvis and this is Run4Adventure. Now, just before we dive into today's video, we just recently uploaded our first impressions on the very much hyped Ultraflies from Nike, their first ever carbon plated sort of performance trail running shoe. Now, if you are hovering over that purchase button, thinking about spending £230 of your hard-earned cash on that shoe, then I would definitely recommend going along and watching that video. So what I've done is I've left a link in the description below so you can do just that. Okay, back to the shoe in question, and it is the deeply cushioned road shoe from New Balance, the Fresh Foam X More V4. I mean, look at the size of that midsole. Pretty impressive, isn't it? And who would have thought, say, 10 years ago that all the running brands would be producing oversized, deeply cushioned, very soft running shoes. How times have changed, that's for sure. But let's give you guys a bit of information about the shoe. We're going to break down the construction in a bit more detail, taking a look at the upper, the midsole, and the outsole. So let's dive in. First up, they retail in the UK for £140. This is the latest colorway, but I've actually seen some online of the previous color options for as little as £84, and that is incredibly good value. Unfortunately, information on the shoe is pretty vague on the New Balance site, and I do find that about that website, that they don't really have a lot of information about their shoes there. So if you're watching New Balance, you definitely need to get a few more facts and figures about your running shoes on your website, because that really helps customers out when it comes to purchasing their shoes. As far as I can tell, it runs off a 4mm heel offset with a 34mm stack height on the heel and 30mm under your forefoot. As far as weight goes, this pair in a UK 10 tips the scales at 325 grams. So obviously, with all that soft, bouncy, Fresh Foam X foam in the midsole, it's not going to be the lightest running shoe in the world. As far as the upper construction goes, I would say it's a pretty standard looking running shoe upper. New Balance have chosen to use this lightweight engineered mesh with zonal structuring and high levels of breathability from all these micro perforations worked all the way around the shoe. We got a standard tongue design with a moderate level of padding to make sure the top of your foot is nice and protected when you pull those laces down tight to get a good secure lockdown around your midfoot. Very similar thing with the heel and the ankle collar when it comes to the padding, and we got this slight sort of flared design that we're seeing on a lot of heels on running shoes these days. Finishing up, we've got some sort of overlays around those lace eyelets just for a bit of extra durability, and we got some nice high-vis detailing to make sure that you're seen and you stand out when you're running at night. Moving down to what I'd say is the biggest feature on the shoe, quite literally, and that is this chunky midsole design. So New Balance have utilised their softest ever Fresh Foam X cushioning in this shoe. It also contains 3% bio-based material, and that's made from renewable resources. Now, with New Balance being this mega sort of global brand, I'm sure they could probably do a little bit better than 3%. I can definitely vouch for the softness of this foam, having run in the Fresh Foam X More Trail. That shoe was highly cushioned, extremely soft, and very, very comfortable underfoot. Flipping the shoes over, you can see we've got a good helping of blown rubber on the outsole in all the high wear areas to give you good levels of grip in all conditions, but also extra durability when it comes to all those training miles. You can see New Balance have worked in some multi-directional flex grooves to help with braking, acceleration, and changing directions. And I've got to say it, those grooves seem to be working pretty well, because if I twist and flex that midsole, it's actually pretty flexible, even though it's got that deep stack of cushioning. Okay folks, so there it is, a few facts about the New Balance Fresh Foam X More V4s, and now it is time to go running. And this is normally the point in the video where I get all excited about stepping outside the front door in a new pair of running shoes, but unfortunately, I don't know what the weather's like where you are, but at the moment in Cornwall, we are having some terrible weather, even though it is supposed to be summer. So I'm sitting here looking out the window. It doesn't look great, and we're actually having a weather warning today of 45 to 50 mile an hour winds and driving rain. So don't get me wrong, I really don't mind about running in the rain, but it really does make filming extremely difficult. So I'm not sure how we're going to get on today. It doesn't look pleasant. We're going to try our best. So let's get these laced up, cross my fingers, and hopefully we'll be okay as we brave the elements. Okay, now I'm sure there's a lot of you watching this that are thinking, was Lloyd just being a drama queen about the weather? Because I'm actually running in blue sky and sunshine after saying that we had weather warnings in Cornwall, and honestly, when I was filming, it was absolutely howling outside and pouring down with rain. I've come off the road because it is still pretty windy, but I can't believe the weather we got. We are definitely being pretty lucky with the weather, that's for sure. I thought I was going to get absolutely soaked out on today's run, and we've ticked off 3 miles already. And the first thing I noticed as soon as I got running was how soft and how comfortable this Fresh Foam X midsole is. And when I say soft, it's not that sort of soft where you're sinking into it. It still feels like it's returning lots of energy. And just like I thought, when I tested out this Fresh Foam X midsole on the More trail shoe, it did feel quite unstable, but out here on the firm, repetitive road, it actually feels great. The other thing is, like I said in the studio, with those multi-directional grooves, even though you've got that big chunk of fresh foam under your foot, the shoe still feels nice and flexible. You know, I'm actually really surprised. I thought it was going to feel pretty stiff, but yeah, nice flexible midsole, very soft, and it feels like it's returning good levels of energy. So far, shoe's feeling great, but 3 miles done. We're going to try and get 7 or 8 miles in today as the sun's shining, so let's get running. So this video is going to be going up at 7 o'clock on Thursday. So you'll be sitting there watching it, hopefully, and we should be frantically running around, packing our kit, checking everything over, because we are going to be heading over to Jersey tomorrow for the Round the Rock race. Super excited about the trip. Can't wait to get over the island and see it. It looks stunning. And training's gone pretty good, so we're both feeling pretty positive about it. The one thing we're not so sure about is, again, the weather. So the forecast Friday, dry, sunny, still. Sunday, the day after the race, dry, sunny, still. Saturday, the day of the race, 50 mile an hour winds and rain all day. So let's hope we have the same luck that we've had out on today's run. Fingers crossed. So as the grey clouds gather again, it's definitely going to rain any second now, so hopefully we'll make it back in time. It's going to be just over 7 miles by the time we get home. I've had a great run, really enjoyed running in the shoe for the first time. Feels really comfortable and it's just fun to run in. But let's get back home, get back to the studio, and we'll break down the performance of the Fresh Foam X More V4 in a bit more detail. So that was my last run before myself and Liga head off to run 48 miles around the stunning island of Jersey in the Round the Rock race this Saturday. So I'm going to film this conclusion and then we're dashing off to see our sports massage therapist to get a good bit of treatment just to make sure the body's all nice and loose in preparation for the big day. So everything's going to plan so far. Amazing that we got out there, we managed to avoid the weather and we actually ran in some sunshine and blue sky, and literally it started raining again as I stepped back in my front door. And I also really enjoyed my first run in these. Now, whenever I see a running shoe with this crazy big chunky midsole design, I always think they're going to feel a bit heavy, maybe run a bit clunky and feel a bit sluggish, and that's really not the feel I want from my running shoes. But the Fresh Foam X More V4 actually surprised me out there today. Now obviously this pair in a UK 10 weigh in at 325 grams, so it's definitely not a lightweight running shoe or anything like that, but they really didn't feel heavy to run in. That midsole felt nicely balanced, and dare I say it, considering it's a deeply cushioned neutral road shoe, it actually felt quite nimble to run in. And I can't believe I'm saying that. It's a bit crazy when you look at the depth and the width of that midsole platform. A couple of times out there I did up the pace, and these actually performed pretty well at those quicker tempos, you know. The shoe felt responsive, it felt nice and bouncy underfoot, like it was helping me along the way and returning lots of energy, and it really did feel like I could sort of bob along all day in the More V4 and have no issues. I think a big part of that surprising midsole performance comes from those multi-directional sort of flex grooves worked into the midsole design. It really does offer a lot of flexibility to that midsole considering how much cushioning there is there. I have found in the past with shoes with similar designs to this, with deep stack heights, say like Altra's Via Olympus, too stiff, too rigid, just very uncomfortable. It felt like you had sort of two planks of wood strapped to your feet, and that definitely wasn't the case in these. And I've got to say it, I actually preferred the performance and the feel of this Fresh Foam X midsole compared to the Fuel Cell carbon plated midsole in the Super Comp V2s that we tested recently. Considering that is an expensive super trainer, I actually think these were more comfortable, more responsive, and definitely more exciting to run in. The upper felt good straight out of the box like most New Balance running shoes do, so nice and breathable. I got good hold in the heel, feels nice and plush around that ankle collar. The only thing I would say is the volume and the depth at the midfoot of the upper is quite deep, and I'd say because of my sort of shallowish foot shape, I did have to pull those laces down quite tight to feel sort of locked in and secure at the midfoot. Also, once on the run, I had to stop, just readjust and play around with those laces and retie them, just because those laces in the upper had worked its way a bit loose. Now, I think this comes down to my sort of narrow foot shape rather than any issues with the upper. So wrapping up after my first run in the New Balance Fresh Foam X More V4, and firstly, I can't believe we managed to get in a 7.5 mile run today and we didn't get caught in any rain. That's just a complete miracle considering how the weather was when I was sitting here filming the intro. Secondly, the performance of these was a real pleasant surprise today. Very comfortable, super bouncy, felt a lot more responsive than I thought it would, and just a fun shoe to run in, that's for sure. So if you do like a heavily cushioned, very soft daily trainer, then I think these are definitely worth a closer look. Obviously, this is just my first impressions after my first run. We're going to continue to put miles in them to see how that very springy midsole setup holds up to all the mileage, and then we'll be back with a full in-depth review. With the New Balance model being out for some time now, I'm sure there's viewers out there that have racked up some really good mileage in these. So I would love to hear your thoughts on the shoe. So get in the comments below and tell us all about it. But right now, I'm off to get ready for our big island adventure at the weekend. So really hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Really hope you found it helpful. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because it really is a big help. But until next time, we'll be back here very, very soon. And as always, stay safe and keep on running. Quite literally, and that's that chunky midsole. So New Balance are utilising their... I can definitely vouch for that midsole compound, having run in the Moor Trail. New Balance have worked in some multi-directional fleck. fleck, 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 grooves.